Good evening, and welcome to everyone who's joining us on the internet. Over the past few sessions, we've discussed the practice of hesitation. It is key Don't underestimate its importance. Hesitating before responding off the top of your head. Hesitating before engaging in a knee-jerk reaction is the only thing that is going to help you get off the merry-go-round of life. The constant, repetitive practice of everything you've already believed. The constant, repetitive reinforcement of everything that keeps you from waking up, experiencing enlightenment, fresh insight that allows you to be and behave in a new way, and in new ways that elicit new responses from your world. Now, be aware that when you hesitate to inquire of the Holy Spirit what is appropriate, the goals are going to change. You hesitate in order not to perpetuate self-defense. Because always your knee-jerk responses, always your responses off the top of your head, will reinstate the practice of self-defense. That is what you all do automatically. Many of you get confused when you turn to the Holy Spirit, and because you've turned to the Holy Spirit, because there is an emergency of some sort, or a need of some sort, or you are feeling a need for defense, you turn to the Holy Spirit and you ask the Holy Spirit for a better defense. I. How can I protect myself? How can I keep from being bombarded with unpleasant people, trying situations? And you ask a question that the Holy Spirit can't answer, because the Holy Spirit doesn't see the conflict that you see as though it were real. The Holy Spirit does know your frame of mind and your current perspective, but unlike you, the Holy Spirit doesn't believe your perspective. Perhaps the most difficult aspect of practicing this hesitation and succeeding at its purpose is allowing the shift that must occur from self-defense to extension take place. Oh, but Holy Spirit, you're not helping me have a better defense. And the Holy Spirit says, but you're not abandoning your conflicted frame of mind. You're not abandoning your confidence in your belief that you are threatened, so that you can dare to reverse your position from I to you, or everything else, and make a gift. Yeah. But Holy Spirit, that isn't what I came to you for. I came to you to have an answer that would help me feel safe. And the Holy Spirit says, yes, but you're asking me to give you an answer that makes you feel safe while you're still abiding in your own misperceptions of being a solitary, a lonely, vulnerable entity. And you see, that isn't what you are. And I cannot provide an answer that will help this you that you think you are, but which only exists in your imagination, to feel safe. I cannot make an imagination feel safe. But I can reveal to you what you are. And I can turn your attention, if you're willing, in the direction that will lift you out of the box of polarity, the box of conflict that you see yourself in because you are believing that you're separate, solitary, isolated, and vulnerable. And so, you are going to have to shift your modus operandi. You're going to have to allow your intent to change from self-protection to love. From self-protection against that which you are perceiving as opposing you to the extension of love to that which is really there. Why? Because with me, you can only have one goal. In reality, you can have only one goal. And that goal is the extension of love. You've got to be willing to shift to the prayer, to the intent. I wish to see only the evidence of love. Now, when you say, I wish to see only the evidence of love, don't let it just be a wish. Oh, well, I wish to see the evidence. I wish to see the evidence of love, but, I really do wish to see the evidence of love. But you have the wish, and it sits there unacted upon. I'll put it that way. If you wish to see the evidence of love, you are going to abandon the way others are presenting themselves. And they are presenting themselves based on their sense of being isolated and alone and vulnerable and in danger as well. They're presenting that. Is that what you wish to see? Is that what you're going to give your attention to? Is that going to be what you base your responses and actions upon? No. I wish to see the evidence of love means that you engage in looking right where someone is presenting themselves poorly or badly or obtusely, you look there with an active desire to see the evidence of love. You look without validating the manner in which your brother or sister is presenting himself or herself. You don't validate it, you invalidate it by disregarding it and looking with an actual desire to recognize the presence of love there. And you may have to start out purely intellectually by saying to yourself, if there's anything right there where I see a difficult person, if there's anything there presenting itself badly, there must be something there behind it that is genuine, because there is no such thing as a pure illusion. And so, at least intellectually, you acknowledge that there must be something real with a capital R there. And you persist in letting that premise be elaborated upon, either by drawing from prior, and I'm talking about memory, prior teaching that you might have learned about what you are divinely, that you can transfer in your mind intellectually to this person. Now, what's happened here so far? You've hesitated, and you've abandoned your habit of interpreting what you're seeing from memory. You've abandoned interpreting what you're seeing based upon the obtuse presentation your brother or sister is presenting. And you go to another place to draw upon for clarity. So, by starting out with more than just a wish to see the presence of love there, but a conscious act of giving attention there and redefining it, I am going to say intellectually, as to what you have learned must really be going on there. You're now not being the evidence of habitual thinking, habitual perceptions. And you have freed yourself from confirming, let us say, the bad behavior of your brother or sister, together with the poor assessment of them that must follow that determination. You're now in new territory where your inquiry of the Holy Spirit can be answered because you're not blocking the new goal that the Holy Spirit will present to you of being the presence of love. When you hesitate, you're providing the opportunity to get off the merry-go-round of habitual perception, where the view is the same over and over and over, and you can confidently expect the view to remain unchanged, and therefore you can be confident that healing, transformation, correction will not occur. That's what you're stuck with if you don't step off the merry-go-round of habit. And that's why hesitation is so important. But remember that when you hesitate and get off the merry-go-round, your goal is going to be new. It's not going to be self-centered. It's going to be all-inclusive. And the gift is not a gift that you think needs to be given to you, but the gift will be your acknowledgement, your willingness to acknowledge, your invitation to be able to acknowledge God in everything you see. The only protection you will ever be provided with by the Holy Spirit is the realization that you need to abandon defense. The only way you will ever be safe is by abandoning your perception of an opponent, something not like you, something not good like you, not somebody who doesn't, just a moment. You see, until you can abandon the sense of difference, you're not going to be willing to embrace. You're not going to be willing to extend. And the simple fact is that until you make the extension of love, the love won't be had by you. It won't be made yours. And until it's made yours, you're still going to be, in some way, seeing yourself as separate, isolated, alone, vulnerable, and therefore in need of defense. As you know, whenever we sit down for a gathering, Paul says, I allow only for that which expresses the Christ consciousness. And I allow only for that which is in harmony with the purpose of capital B being, the Father's will. In other words, thy will, not mine, be done. This is what he says. Let the reign of divine truth, life, and love be established in me, and rule out of me all self-will. And may thy word enrich the affections of all mankind and govern them. That's called hesitation. No matter what's going on in his life, no matter what may be catching his attention or hooking his ego, when it's time for a gathering, he sits down and hesitates, stops, proceeding down the path of spontaneous reaction. He hesitates and shifts. He abandons self-defense by virtue of his expressed desire for his will not to be done, but for the Father's will to be done. And for everything that follows, to express what? Reaction? Hate? Fear? Anxiety? No. that which expresses the Christ consciousness. That's the way you shift. And that shift is essential and is something that everyone needs to begin consciously and conscientiously practicing. Because until you get off the merry-go-round in this manner, you're going to continue to listen and be attentive for that which will confirm your vulnerability, because you're asking for better and better defense. What you want in terms of answers is that which reveals to you that you are invulnerable. Not because there is much to be defended against, but you have the ultimate defense and now you're invulnerable, but because you've moved out of the state of isolation in which the kingdom of heaven appears to be conflicted and therefore dangerous to you. Oh, but the suggestion is that things are too dangerous for you to take the time to hesitate. You know the saying, he who hesitates is lost. Well, the fact is that he who hesitates is saved. If the hesitation is the first step in shifting one's goals and shifting the source from which you gather your comprehension of everything you're experiencing. You could say he who hesitates is found, like the prodigal son, whom the father lost, but on his return his father has found. Let's go into the book. Wholeness is indivisible. It's a singularity. But you cannot learn of your wholeness until you see it everywhere. I wish to see only the evidence of love. Until you have that wish and look for it, you won't find it anywhere. And if you stay in a state of defense against your neighbor or your family or your boss or anyone, if you stay in a state of defense with them, you will not see love there, because you will not be looking for love. You will be looking for more and more evidence of the fact that you need to be defended. You could say, instead of wholeness, being is indivisible. Being is a singularity. Wholeness is indivisible, but you cannot learn of your wholeness until you see it everywhere, until you give the acknowledgement of it away. Now, I promise you that as long as you feel that defense is essential, you will not take the essential step of giving away the acknowledgement of wholeness, the acknowledgement of God. That's very elemental. It's very fundamental. And you can't afford to overlook it. You, continuing, can know yourself only as God knows His Son. For knowledge is shared with God. You can know yourself only as God knows His Son. Anything else that you would engage in would be a belief about yourself. And you believe a lot of things about yourselves. And your beliefs, because they aren't knowing, have no basis in what God is being right there where you are. And therefore you don't know yourself. You're lost in a morass of complex beliefs and belief systems. Knowledge is shared with God. When you awake in Him, you will know your magnitude by accepting His limitlessness as yours. But meanwhile, until you do that, you will judge it as you judge your brothers, and will accept it as you accept theirs. It's like the singularity still applies in the box as well as out of the box. And so what you believe about yourself, you will believe about your brothers, and what you believe about your brothers, you will believe about yourself. And if what you believe about yourself and your brothers is based upon a sense of yourself that's not true, based upon a sense of yourself as being independent from a God, a divine source, then everything that you believe based upon that misunderstanding, you will apply equally to yourself and your brothers. Now, the simple fact is that when your perceptions are based upon ignorance, when they are not based upon truth, there is throughout them tension, fear, frustration, general but absolute conflict. But when you know yourself, because you've stepped out of that level or out of that box, what you learn about yourself, you know is true about your brother, and you extend it to your brother. And the singularity applies. What you know about yourself, you know about your brother. And what you know about your brother, which isn't gathered from what they're presenting necessarily, you know about yourself. And there is no conflict in it, and there is no fear in it, and therefore there is in you no shred of defense. And your innocence becomes theirs because it is a singularity. And although in time they may not acknowledge their innocence readily, they find no justification for increasing their defense with you.